So, Kieran, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
So, for anyone that hasn't heard of On Course to Recovery, what's the heart behind it?
The heart behind it is I love golf, so hence the on-course part of it. And recovery, I've been in recovery since September 2023, so I wanted to collaborate the both. I was actually at the Masters in February a couple of years ago, and I'm sat with one of my mates who's a golf pro, and I was like, how can I get a podcast and talk about recovery while also making it fun? And we were watching a load of YouTube videos, and like all the YouTube golfers, and saw Tubes talk to Billy Horschel at the time on his channel, and talking about his wife's addiction and alcoholism. I was like, this is an idea that I could run with. And it started with season 1 was we were bringing people on playing golf while also talking about their stories. Some golfers, some non-golfers. So at times it was very funny. But yeah, it just means that there's so many golfers out there and people that are into like watching YouTube golf. So I thought, even if I'm bringing them just to watch the golf, and then they might find out a little bit more about alcoholism and addiction, which may help their families and friends who may be struggling, or I'm bringing people who know that they might have an addiction and just watching it from that side of things. So it's bringing more and more people to watch it, and more people hear the honesty of what addiction is and the honesty that lots of people suffer with without either wanting to admit it or knowing enough about it. Do you know what I mean?
That's the first step, admitting it, is it?
I would say so, yeah. You're never going to get recovery unless you yourself admit it. You're not going to do it for other people who say you might have a problem, or if you're doing it for some other people, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're never going to fully recover until you're ready yourself for recovery.
So what made you decide to share your story publicly?
I think we had this discussion before. We started the podcast actually, and I found recovery through a podcast that Dapper did.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known what CA or NA or AA was unless I heard it on that podcast. So without Dapper Laughs having that podcast, and without a guy called Kirk Norcross from Towie coming on and talking about CA, I would never have found it. And I'd probably still be out there drinking and using now, not knowing there's a solution to alcoholism and addiction. Do you know what I mean? So when I come in, the first thing I want to do, and part of the program, is you only keep recovery if you give it away.
Right.
So my mission was to try and give it away as much as possible. And then when the two collided of like, could I do something with golf? Could I do something? Two passions of mine, could I collide them together? That's when I started On Course to Recovery.
So that was the specific moment that you thought, I need to do something about this, yeah?
I think so, yeah. Like I wanted to share my story and hopefully help other people. And like my biggest passion, I don't do On Course to Recovery as a full-time job. But the passion and what I get back from doing my YouTube channel rather than doing my actual job, I was like, I absolutely love this. Can I do this all the time? Like the feeling I get from seeing other people recover, like I take people through recovery steps myself now, and like watching their lives transform the same way mine did. It's such a passion of mine, and something I get so much out of seeing other people recover around me. And if I can do that from someone hearing one of my YouTube channel, something off my YouTube channel or one of my episodes, like that's great.
If that can initiate someone else's journey,
100%.
So how would you describe the period of your life when addiction had its strongest grip?
Addiction started for me when I was 13. I think even probably earlier than that, like you're 11, 12, smoking weed with your mates at school. But mine turned up quite quickly. I remember a distinct moment in my early years of like 13. Everyone had been down like skate park or down a 4G playing football, and they were like, where have you been all summer? And I'd just been in a like tiny 1-bed flat with like the kitchen, the bathroom, living room and bedroom all in one room, and I'd just been sniffing MCAT, a drug, like plant fertilizer, for like 6 weeks with people like And the door was just left open the whole time. It was like the middle of summer and people just coming in and out from jail. And like, it's just like scary moments like that. And from 13, it was very similar to what I just said, but then I had a period of sobriety between like 16 and 18 where you like start learning to drive and like getting your first job and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you almost get distracted by those other things. But as soon as 18 hit, that was it. I was off and running.
So is that when the realisation came that you had a problem, or
I think for a long time I was just like, I just use more than other people.
right?
And they say that you cross that line from when you use him probably on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday to then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then it creeps into every day of the week. And I think COVID, like a lot of people, where you just didn't have to get out of bed for anything.
Yeah.
It just took over my whole life. And then I lost my job. Luckily, I'm back at that job that sacked me in COVID. But yeah, I would say from 2018, 2019 up until 2023, it just went massively downhill.
Yeah. So was the turning point when you saw Dapper Laugh's podcast, or?
Yeah, so in COVID, obviously I lost my job, so I knew that I needed to do something. I got sacked because of my addiction. And knew I needed to do something. I started therapy, locked myself away, tried to get help, tried to do it on my own, which was never successful. But then kind of gave up the idea. I just assumed and thought that my life was going to be looking like this for the rest of my life. So kind of just ran with it. And then I was using really heavily in 2023. Yeah, I just stumbled across Dapper Laughs. I used to like all of his stuff where he called himself the Sesh Gremlin and all those videos he used to do. And then one day he had like promoted this Menace to Sobriety, which is his podcast. And I was like, I wonder what that is. So I clicked on it, and it was Kirk Norcross was doing that first episode. And he mentioned, Kirk Norcross pretty much told my whole story. He used like me. When he was using, he'd done all the same stupid behaviours as I did.
Yeah.
And he was 2.5 years clean. And I was like, how did he do that?
If he can do it, I
yeah,
can do
exactly,
it, right?
yeah. So, yeah, he was the inspiration for me to go into CA, for sure.
Recovery in the early days, what did that look like? Was the first step CA, or?
Yeah, so I had listened to this podcast, and it was like the Sunday, and I remember going up to watch Wentworth. I went and watched the last day of Wentworth, and I was just completely off my tits the whole day.
Right.
And then on the Monday, I stumbled across this podcast, and on Wednesday I went to my first CA meeting. And yeah, that was in 16th of September 2023, I believe. And my journey hasn't been plain sailing from there. I got 3 months and then relapsed, and then got another 5 months and relapsed. And I'll be 2 years in next month. So it's not all been plain sailing, and I didn't get it straight away, but over time I realised, and it's about having acceptance as well, like acceptance about your own behaviours and also acceptance around your illness, that complete abstinence means complete abstinence. So I can't just have a drink because I don't drink like a gentleman.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who's going to go after work with lads from work, have a couple of pints, go home and have my dinner.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist for me. I'm not stopping until my money runs out.
No.
So until I had acceptance that was my life and that I can't drink or use safely again, did I ever find recovery fully?
Is there a, like, you're nearly at 2 years, so
Yeah.
well on you for a start. But
Thank you very much.
is there a term that normally people get past where then there's a really high percentage chance that they won't relapse, or?
I don't think you're ever guaranteed complete abstinence, and this illness just doesn't leave.
No.
It's a daily reprieve. We get a daily reprieve from doing certain things that we're suggested to do in recovery. If we do those things, we get a daily reprieve away from having a day where we don't have to drink or use. But I will never fully recover. I'm recovering every single day.
Yeah. But those neurological pathways are building stronger and stronger, the less and less those ones are used, right?
100%. I think the more and more you stay in recovery,
Yeah.
the more and more chance you've got to stay in recovery. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, but again, I don't struggle. It doesn't cross my mind now to have a drink or drug and my life will get better.
But you're focusing on other things which are keeping your mindset and making you happy, right?
100%, yeah. And it's keeping that good mentality, like doing things that you enjoy. And like, there's not a moment where I go, I tell you what, drink and drug will solve that. Do you know what I mean? And I used to have an obsession every morning where I didn't have a choice. It was like, get up, use, get through the day. Get up, use, get through the day. Now it's like, I wake up in the morning and then my first thought is never to drink or use. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
brilliant. So other than Kirk, Norcross and Dapper Laughs, was there anyone in your circle that played a pivotal role in helping change direction for you?
I think I've got a good friendship circle, and I did have a huge amount of friends who 90% of them were only people that I would drink and use with.
Yeah.
So my circle's probably gone from 20, 25 people to 5 people. And I think massive thing that I got told in the start of my recovery is stick with good people, stick with the winners. Do you know what I mean? Because good people are going to rub off well on you. Do you know what I mean? It's that negativity you don't want around you. So I've got about 5 friends who encourage me and also were trying to stop me from doing my old bad behaviours. And when coming into recovery, have supported me really well. And then now I've got a lot of friends in recovery. Most of my friends are made up from people in recovery who
you
think
helping each
similar to
other.
me. Exactly, yeah.
Brothers in arms. Yeah?
Exactly that, mate, yeah.
So when did golf enter the recovery journey?
Golf was always there. I just couldn't play because I would still be on it from the night before and wouldn't be able to turn up to a golf course and try and swing a club for 18 holes. That just wasn't an option in the states I used to get in. And yeah, I've always played golf. I played golf when I was a kid, all the way through. When I had that short stint of sobriety back in COVID, I picked my clubs up again and started playing. My brother's a massive golfer. A lot of my friends are massive golfers. So golf's always been there, but it's definitely taken back over now since I've been able to get clean and sober, being able to like enjoy walking around the course instead of dragging myself around the course because I had no sleep. And it's just a great way to socialise with good people.
Yeah.
And also get out in nature, mate. Do you know what I mean?
That was my next question was going to be, what was it about golf that helped the healing? Is it the structure of the community, the quiet time, the challenge?
I think it's everything, like getting out and getting some fresh air with some good friends, especially when the sun shines, mate. There's no better place to be.
Yeah.
Walking around a course, getting in good exercise. I think there's a thing about golf where you can get really annoyed about playing golf because you hit like a bad shot. But then there's always that one shot that keeps you coming back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It only takes one.
Yeah, exactly that. And like, no matter how bad a round you've had, you can still have one shot and be like, I'll take that into the next round. Do you know what I mean?
Coming back, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen a noticeable change in people who've come on your podcast and joined you in Aces on the range? And
yeah, like we've had a mix of abilities come into Aces and have a shot at golf. And do you know what, mate? Like, it wasn't meant to be used as like to make people laugh and stuff like that. But like, see them come in and like their competitive nature come on and like try and play golf, and it's like they're loving it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a new challenge for them. Like, it's good fun for them. Like, they're having a laugh. Like, they're not very good, but they're there and they're having a laugh. Do you know what I mean? And that's great.
That's what matters.
Exactly that. And that's, I think, the thing about golf as well. Like, mix of abilities. It's just good crack. Walking around with your mates, having a chat with your mates. Like, it doesn't matter what your ability is at times. Like, everyone wants to play off scratch, but just being out in the fresh air, especially in the summer, like, see how many people have come to golf. Most people, a bit like me, I don't want to go out and play in the pissing wet, but you definitely
I don't
do.
mind it,
yeah.
I love it.
But
can't get enough.
yeah, I mean, a few of them have come on the channel, played a bit of golf and been like, I've started going down the driving range with my nipper, or do you know what I mean? I took my missus down and played mini golf. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of people think recovery, you're going to come into recovery and it's your life's going to end, your social circle's going to end, your social life's going to end because we're taking drugs and alcohol away from that. And it's like, what do I now do? Like, when they come onto the channel and show that they're having fun, it's like, we could go and play golf.
Yeah.
Or Like, you don't have to have a drink to play golf. You
No.
don't, and like, it also shows that we're not a glum lot. Do you know what I mean? When we come into recovery, it doesn't mean like, oh, we turn boring, we don't go out.
No.
Like, I go and do everything I want to do and more. Now I'm clean and sober.
And enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've got a friend at the moment, off of the back of the podcast I've done with Ricky. He reached out really wanting to come and join the Forehead community, right?
Yeah.
But he had reservations because he's in recovery. So he's been about a year.
Yeah.
He's worried about peer pressure because he sees himself as quite weak in that scenario.
Mhm.
And he loves the idea of coming out, and he hasn't got too many friends because a lot of his friends are a bad influence.
Yeah.
But he wants to come out and enjoy the golf, but wanted to assess the risks before doing so.
Yeah.
And our group of lads that we play golf with, some of them drink, but no one forces anything down anyone else's throat. And if they're aware of someone's situation, they would look after that and put their arm around them.
I think there's a difference between drinking and the way we drink and use. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can be around my mum and dad who have a glass of wine with their dinner, or my mates. Now I went on a lads holiday, which I never thought would be possible, in Tenerife, and they just got smashed for like 7 days. And not once did I think about picking up a drink or a drug. And I think when you're around good people, like, if people are asking you and forcing you, why aren't you having a drink? Why aren't you having a drink? Are they the people you want to be hanging around with?
100% not, yeah. Do you think golf works in a way that other sports maybe don't?
I think so, yeah. I think going back to football when I come into recovery was difficult because there's a big drinking culture around football. There's team sports, you get a lot of like drinking culture behind it.
Yep.
Whereas golf, I don't feel that. I don't feel like after a round of golf we want to sit in the pub and drink 8 pints and like sing songs, and there's a gentlemanness about golf. And I believe that, like, not once do I feel like after a round of golf that one of my mates is going to say, right, let's stay here and get smashed all evening.
I don't think we've ever had that, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're on holiday, perhaps.
On a golf holiday, yeah.
But likewise, you're exhausted, right?
Exactly,
If you just played 18 holes in 40-degree heat in Spain, the last thing you want to do is sit up drinking all night.
Yeah, so exactly that.
We're all normally tucked up in bed by 9 o'clock.
100%. And yeah, like, I don't think there is that lad culture behind golf. I don't think there's that boozy culture behind golf. So yeah, for me, when I first come into recovery, I felt quite safe going into that sport and not knowing it, and knowing that there was not going to be any of that stigma around it.
I 100% agree with that. Of the people that you've done so far on your podcast, what's been the most powerful story you've recorded?
Ooh, I think they're all powerful in their own right. I've literally just recorded season 2, episode 1, and it just got released this week. And we had a girl called Shaquila come on, and she lost her mum through addiction, and lost her uncle 2 months after from addiction. And I think that's up there with one of the most powerful stories, because I don't think people drink and use, and I was definitely one of them who just didn't think of the consequences that come with drinking and drugs.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an addict taking drinking drugs, and it doesn't have to be lots and lots of drinking drugs. It only takes 1 line of cocaine and you can die.
Yeah.
And who are you leaving behind?
Yeah. And what problems are you leaving for them, right?
Exactly. You don't know what's in these drugs. You definitely don't know what's in these drugs now. And you can leave your child behind. I've just, my sponsor's best mate just died, 41, left a 1-year-old daughter behind. Like, they're the stories that people don't tell enough. You get a lot of these podcasts where people come on and be like, yeah, I used to do this on a pub on a Friday night, like relatable like that. But do they talk about the seriousness of addiction? Do they tell people who are listening, if you don't give up drinking drugs, you can die?
Yeah.
Because that's the reality of it.
It comes with a whole host of problems, right? We've had I've had an employee before that had a problem, and I tried to help him, but he didn't want to help himself, and it got to the stage where it's really sad because I really care for the guy, and I still do care for the guy, but I've had to cut him out of my life because he was causing problems for me and my family and my work and my other employees.
Yeah.
And it got to the stage where he was stealing from us because he needed to feed his habit. And he stole a lot a couple of grand over the course of a couple of weeks. And when he was called out on it, obviously he's sorry, he's done it, he's got a problem, he needs help. But it was beyond the point where I could help him. And and he was already going to AA meetings and fooling himself that he was going to the meetings and saying he was okay, but he wasn't okay. He was pretending to be okay while still using. And I got a message from him the other day, actually. He said that he's been clean now for quite a long time. He'd reached out and apologised for the way that he had handled the situation. I'm pleased that he's doing well. But I didn't have, and he said, I don't expect you to reply. And selfishly, I didn't reply because I thought I don't want to be that person that's responsible again, because it caused me a lot of distress and trouble at that time. So that's the impact it has on other people, aside from someone dying, but the impact it has on people that aren't even related. This is just a friend or an employee that I felt responsible for. And you're getting calls all hours of the night, requests for money all the time, and you just felt like you needed to help this person. I couldn't do it. I'd done it for as long as I could until the point where he bit the hand that was feeding him.
Exactly that.
Have you ever had a moment in an episode where you thought, wow, this is bigger than I expected it to be?
I think some stories you hear, we done an episode in season 1 with a guy called Brad, and he talked about his childhood. And I was just like, my childhood is completely different to most people we have on the channel and most people who suffer from addiction. And that's why I don't think addiction is based off of what your childhood looks like, because my childhood looked great. But then you get people that come on and talk about their childhoods and the traumas that they've been through, and you're just like, wow, like your life was, and like where addiction took them, like homeless street junkies, to now turning their whole life around and seeing them come on and help other people. And I see what he does in recovery. I know the guy from being in meetings with him, and they're 180 change in his life. And that's the most impactful for me. Do you know what I mean? And we haven't got to the point where we've got big name guests on yet. And at the end of the day, like, I didn't set out the channel to bring on loads and loads of people and like set the world alight. But what I did try to do is just push the message that recovery is possible out to as many people as I can. And stories like Brad's and stories like Shaquila's hopefully will do that.
I think childhood trauma has a lot to answer for in a load of cases, right? And I think we all have fond memories of our childhood, and a lot of us do carry trauma from our childhood. And I will tell my story one day, because I still carry the weight on my shoulders even now, and little triggers set me off. But my emotional side comes out rather than me turning to something, and that's the way I deal with it. And as much as my wife will say I'm a big girl sometimes, I think sometimes it's good. Like, boys cry too.
100%.
So I think it's still it's good to let it out.
Never mask your emotions, mate.
So what kind of feedback have you had so far from your listeners?
I've had like 3 people come into recovery based off of some of our videos, which I set out to have 1 person. So
that's amazing.
3 is really good. And the whole reason I set it up is to try and show people that recovery is possible and there is a way out of an addiction. Really positive responses. We've done Q&As and let them get involved and ask us some questions on our Christmas special, and get emails through, and people reaching out to us asking about recovery, and asking questions. Like, most of our questions have come from family members of people whose kids are struggling with addiction, who haven't really come to the realization that they've got a problem. And it's like, how can I help my son along into recovery? And I'm like you said earlier, unless they're ready, you can't help someone who's not ready to help themselves. Have
you had a parent on your podcast?
Yeah, I actually brought my mum on.
Okay. So showing that impact from another perspective.
100%. Yeah. So I've had 2. So I've had my mum come on, and talk a bit about what it was like from her perspective, and also I had a son of someone whose mum's in recovery and had that perspective as well, and they come from Al-Anon. So Al-Anon is a program for people whose family members are in recovery. So it's like a side-by-side recovery program so that they understand what their partner or mum or dad is going through and what program they're working to.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea, because if you're in addiction, I don't know this answer. You can answer this one, Kieran. If you're in addiction and you had seen something and showed that how it could affect your parents or affect your siblings or affect your family, would it have made you think about that when you were in that position more?
I think, yes, it would have impacted me. Yes, I would have been impacted about what was being said, but at the same time, like I said earlier, I think I knew how much I was hurting my family. I knew how much I was hurting my friends and the people around me. But until you're ready to give up addiction, it's got such a tight hold on you that I couldn't stop for anyone in my life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I smashed my family's life to bits for 8-9 years. And it wasn't until I was ready. And it wasn't any different. That day wasn't any different to the last 8-9 years of my using. But it was just that day I was like, I'm ready to give up. And that was because I had to destroy myself enough. I'd destroyed everyone else, so I had to destroy myself enough to want to do it for myself.
Yeah. I think it's powerful. And trying to, I guess, through these programs, trying to find that that point when you can do that is difficult, right? But if that can be nailed down, that's when you can start to educate, right? This is when you're going to know you're going to be ready.
100%.
Do you think doing your podcast has helped your own recovery?
Yeah, 100%. I think it keeps me accountable. Because if I'm telling other people what to do for recovery, it means I've got to do it myself.
Yep.
It also keeps me in that recovery circle. It keeps me in that unity. It keeps me talking about recovery. It keeps me in recovery, and I'm so passionate about it. Like, the fire's not going to go out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, this is just another thing to keep me passionate about recovery. Like, I love sitting down and doing what we're doing now, speaking and like hearing other people's stories and trying to help other people at the same time. So yeah, the podcast has definitely helped me in my recovery. ACEs was started a couple of years ago now, and it's two of my good friends that own the space. So I was actually at the Masters with Adam, one of the owners of ACEs, at the time when we come up with the idea. And I originally had the idea of starting it out on the course, doing it with buggies and stuff. But where we were coming to the back end of summer, I thought, with weather being quite temperamental, and I don't really like playing in the in the rain anyway, we approached Adam and just asked him if him and Nathan wouldn't mind us starting up in the studio. We started the idea of just having like free holes, par threes to keep it nice and short for people who are just beginners. And yeah, it worked out quite well because we had like that podcast style from the sofa.
Yeah.
And then swapping it onto like the end, playing three holes of golf with the guests. So it actually worked out really well for us.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic of that, where it was literally together.
Yeah.
And I thought that space played a really good role in it.
Yeah.
Do you see this growing into something being bigger than just a podcast?
I hope so. I really do hope so. I hope it becomes a community where we can have golf days with loads of people that have come into recovery through either hearing about recovery through us or hearing about it through someone else. And the dream is to one day have like a big charity golf day where we can raise money for Mind or another recovery group or someone that maybe it might be people supporting families with people who are in addiction, any charity like that, and just see a load of people recovering from addiction out on a course playing golf. That would be the dream. And obviously, whatever that brings on top of that is great. And I'd love to be able to do it full time. I'd love to be able to step away from construction and be able to do it full time. But we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, well, it's taking the right path.
Yeah.
What do you think men struggle to talk about their addiction and mental health?
I think there's a stigma in addiction that addiction has to be someone in a shop corner or a shop window with needles hanging out their arm or their leg, addicted to heroin and crack cocaine. And yes, that is addiction. But a lot of people mask their addictions by doing what I did and sniff cocaine every day and drinking alcohol every day. I I think addiction has this massive stigma around it that it's filthy, horrible. Yet, if someone's got cancer, they don't think it's filthy and horrible, and it's the same thing. It's an illness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think, like you said, there is a massive stigma around the word addiction, around speaking about addiction, the guilt, the shame, the remorse of having like this addiction. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of people just think, oh, I can't tell anyone I'm an addict because people are going to think, oh, that I'm a dirty person. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's another thing that I'm trying to break, that it is an illness, no different to any other illness in this world, and treated, and if you speak about it, it can be resolved.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just hide away from that.
What would you say to someone who knows they need help but hasn't reached out to anyone yet?
Speaking is the first thing. Do you know what I mean? Take the guilt, the shame, the worry away from it, and just be honest.
If you were that person and like, I'm ready for help, who do you go speak to? Who's the first person you speak to? Because if you're in a friendship group that perhaps might not be the best for you, they might not be the ones that you turn around and say, I've got a problem.
I think it's hard when you're wrapped around bad people, and that's when I would suggest probably just going online, searching recovery groups, searching addiction helplines. I actually work on the helpline myself, and I do a shift from 6 till 10 on a Thursday, where I have people just ring me all the time, and then I answer the phone and be like, how can I help you? Where are you based? I can get you to a meeting. I can give you a contact for someone who's like the outreach from that area, and they can just speak to them. Even if they don't want to turn up to a meeting, just have a conversation with someone from that area. They could be like, oh, do you want to meet up, have a coffee, we can talk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much help out there, anonymous help, that you can just reach out, and you don't have to tell anyone. Just have a look and do some research yourself. Like I said, there's not just my podcast, there's loads and loads of recovery podcasts out there now. So if you are struggling, do some research. Just type in helplines for addiction, helplines for alcoholism, and there's loads and loads out there now.
What's the biggest myth about addiction and recovery?
That people choose to use drink and drugs. I think that's the biggest myth. That it's not an illness. I think a lot of people just see these people in the shop windows and they think that they choose to use that drink and drugs. I didn't choose to use drink and drugs the last 2 years of my life. I hated every minute of it. That was the last thing I wanted to do when I woke up in the morning. First thing is not to have a line of cocaine. I used to tell myself every morning, I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to do it today. And yet 5 minutes later, I'm using and drinking again. And if someone says that's not an illness, or that we choose to use that, if you saw the state of my life and the things I used to do to myself and beat myself up, and like all the weird and like wonderful stuff that used to happen because I had not enough sleep, and like the paranoia and the things I used to see, people in my bed, or like all that crazy stuff, like, I would not choose to wake up again the next day and do it all over again.
No.
So, yeah, I think it's not a choice, it's an illness.
We briefly touched on this, but where do you see On Course to Recovery in 3 to 5 years' time?
Doing good videos, cool videos with cool people, fun videos that show that getting more information on addiction, but having like cool rounds of golf with cool guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And showing people that have come through recovery from watching one of my early videos, seeing them come through, playing golf with them. Do you know what I mean?
And the opposite end of the spectrum, the bigger the names that come on the podcast and talk about their own problems are going to only help the cause, because it makes everyone relatable. If someone else has been in that position that's famous and wealthy and seemingly doesn't have any problems, and they found themselves in a similar position to someone that might have an addiction, and they've got themselves out of it, then that shows that anyone can have an addiction and anyone can get themselves out of it.
Exactly. Like, you look at how many people are watching YouTube golf at the moment, how many of them are addicts that are in denial.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, you look at like Tubes on Golf Life spoke very briefly on his alcoholism, but like, I'd love to be able to have a chat with him and dive deeper into what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? And having these cool conversations with cool guys.
Yeah.
To spread the awareness of addiction more.
If the movement reaches the scale you hope for, what would that look like?
I think I said this to my media man the other day. I said to Kieran, who works for me, he said, what would be the dream? And I'll be like, playing in Florida with Billy Horschel,
Yeah.
talking about his wife's addiction program that she set up all around America.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Amazing. Yeah.
That's the peak, I think. Playing with a golfer I love, in a place I love, doing something I love, speaking about addiction, which I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
I think that's the dream to come out of this, yeah.
I think we should do this every year, and with like that's your end goal, right? That's
Yeah,
not your end goal. That's your future plan in 3 to 5 years' time.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be doing that before 5 years. So,
I hope so, mate.
yeah.
I really do.
So let's measure it. This time next year we'll have the same conversation. And
100%.
see where you're
yeah.
at. What would that success mean to you personally if it did get to that stage?
I think I wouldn't measure success on that as such. I'd measure success on how many people I've brought into recovery.
Yeah.
All those materialistic things are great, going to America and playing with these amazing people. And I think, yes, that is a dream of mine. That's a dream of mine outside of this YouTube stuff, I think. But success would look like 50, 60, 80, 100 people coming through recovery or messaging me on Instagram saying, thanks so much for the video you put out with X guest. I'm 2 weeks clean.
Yeah.
I found recovery through you.
Amazing. Yeah.
And that's it, job done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it's one person, we've had about 3 so far. So if I can help any more on that journey, that's job done for me.
Yeah. I think some subjects like once people are in recovery, and we touched on this earlier on when I was talking about my friend, that someone that's in recovery feels like they have to limit the things that they want to do because they're scared that they're gonna relapse. So maybe a subject that would be good for you is it's okay to go and do things, and the things that, like, golf is a great example of that, because it's a trusted place with many people in the same situation. You just don't know.
100%, yeah.
What's one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
I'd say I'm a Christian. No, if you look at me from an external, and that's only through like finding faith through a recovery program. I'm a massive Christian. I take my faith very seriously. And yeah, like, I think from the external outside image, people wouldn't see that in me. Trust me, I haven't always been a Christian, and only found faith through a recovery program. But yeah, I think faith's a massive part of my life, and people from the outside kind of look at me like, really? Is that you don't look like the Christian from the outside? So yeah.
Well, it surprised me because I'd same, but then never judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah.
What's the perfect day look like for you now?
Perfect day would look like a round of golf in the morning, nice bit of lunch, finish off with a couple of good guests on my recovery podcast.
What does golf mean to you personally beyond recovery?
I think it's a challenge. Golf is probably the hardest sport I play, most challenging sport I play, but it means family and it means love to me more than it means the golf itself, because it's the only sport I get to play with I get to play with my brother, I get to play with my dad. It's something that I never got to do, spend time with my brother and my dad with the addiction, took those relationships away from me for a period of time. Yeah. So when I can play golf with them and get out on the course and spend some quality time with them, that's what golf gives me more than anything else.
I feel the same. I get to play with my dad, my father-in-law, my
my
brother-in-law. Like, I played all with family, but I feel like I've got this golf family now. Like, I don't even know how many there is now. Tens of people, 20, 30. I don't know what it is now, that you can just put in a group. We've got spare space on a tee time, and someone will come along. Yeah. But there's not one person on that list who you wouldn't want to come along.
100%.
And I play golf. I play quite a lot. I play 3 times a week. But I play with different people all the time. And it's just nice. It's nice.
The connections
nice way
you
to
build,
Yeah, nice way to catch up with people. I love the you come play at my course, I come play at yours. And I like that. You get to play different places. Yeah. So I love golf.
Golf's class.
Who would you say inspires you?
It's a tough one. I think there's lots of inspirations in my life. I think my dad was a big inspiration for me when I was a kid. And I think through my faith, I don't really get inspired by a lot of people, but It's very controversial, but I'd say Jesus. The reason I say that is because of the way he carried himself, the way I was done some bad things in my life, and I think by reading the Bible and reading scripture, if I try and make Jesus my inspiration, then I can't be going too far wrong.
If you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would you say?
Don't do drugs and don't do alcohol. You can't be addicted to something you've never tried. And drugs and alcohol took 13 years of my life away and ruined, like you said, friendships, relationships with family. The ripple effect that drugs and alcohol had on my life, I think, I'd say be confident in who you are. You don't need to put drugs and alcohol to allow yourself to feel confident in your own skin. The reality is I was so insecure about the person I was that drugs and alcohol allowed me to feel confident on the way I am.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I use drugs and alcohol, because it's a fear-based illness. So yeah, I'd say feel confident in who I am, and if I had the choice, I wouldn't have picked the drink and drugs up, because you can't be addicted to something you've never tried.
I think people do suffer with confidence, right? And I see people do that, but that's not the right way to boost your confidence. If someone doesn't like you for who you are, then they're not the right person to be around you.
Correct.
We just need to be ourselves, and then we'll attract the right people through being nice, genuine people.
Exactly.
I get what you'd say to your younger self, but what I'd say to you is what hasn't killed you has made you stronger, and it's made you the person you are now.
100%, yeah.
Right, Kieran, thanks for your honesty today. Conversations like this really matter more than we realise. And if one person's listening and they feel less alone or feel connected or feel like they can reach out, then I think that's going to be super powerful. For what you're doing is great. And hopefully, like you said earlier, if it helps one person, that's amazing. But I can't see it only helping one person. And we need to get the message out there. We need people to share this and subscribe to the channel so that they get their notifications when you do something new. Because whilst one podcast might not be something that touches them, another one might be. And everyone might know someone that's going through something. So it'd be worth people sharing things so that they can see their friends get the help that they need to get. And change is possible. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as showing up, whether that's asking for help, picking up a golf club. But I really appreciate you coming in, and congratulate you on your recovery and on everything you've done with your podcast, because I think it's amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
DaFuqing Podcast. DaFuqing Podcast.